Hey everyone, welcome. This is Mompreneurs to Millionaires. I'm so glad you're here. Give me a wave. Today we are talking about Facebook groups. Oh my gosh, I love talking about Facebook groups. If you have a Facebook group, feel free to drop yours below. If you are not using Facebook groups to get more leads, get more clients for your business, definitely you want to stick around because I think it is the #1 lead generator. So definitely stick around. Today I'm going to share why you need a Facebook group, right? If you're wanting to get leads, especially if you are a coach or a service-based business, you definitely want to be thinking about Facebook groups. So we're going to talk about why. Then we're going to talk about how to grow with my signature. Today it's going to be a little different format. I'm going to share my secret framework for growing your Facebook group. And then we're going to talk about really how to turn that into clients. So definitely stick around. You're not going to want to miss this. Tell me if you're watching on the live, just type live below, or tell me if you're watching on the replay, just type replay below. I'd love to know who's coming in kind of the day of and who's coming in afterwards. Awesome. So glad you're here. All right. So Facebook groups, right? I talk about this all the time with my clients. I love helping you grow a Facebook group. If you feel like you have a dead Facebook group, or you started one a long time ago and it kind of fizzled out, or if you're on the fence of whether or not you need a Facebook group, that is definitely something I would love to help talk you through and figure out what's right for your business. With many of my clients, they have already started a Facebook group, right? I also have some clients that have not started a Facebook group, so we start from scratch. So I love figuring out kind of both sides. If you already have a Facebook group and it's kind of, you know, no one's responding, it's not working for you, you are not getting leads every single day, let's talk, because that Facebook group is your best tool, I think, to get leads coming in every day and having people that you can follow up with, qualified leads, right? That is really going to be the difference. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. And then if you have not started a Facebook group and you're just starting from scratch, I love talking through that with you, with my clients as well, is how to get it started fast, right? And get it going so that it starts bringing in clients and bringing in leads every single day. So either way, right? If you have a Facebook group that is an old Facebook group and it's fizzled out, let's talk. Or if you're on the fence and you're thinking about starting one, I would love to talk. I always offer a free strategy call. I call it a sexy systems audit, right? I am an engineer by trade. Systems are not very sexy, but I am on a mission to make them so. I want it to be a system that lights you up and gets you excited every single day. Because if it's not something that you love doing, you're not going to be consistent, right? I always feel like a system should be something obviously that you're excited about and something that works, right? We want it to be an effective system, not just a system for system's sake, right? So stick around. I would love to share all that with you. If you're interested in that free strategy call, just say strategy below and I'll definitely reach out to you. Awesome. So thanks so much to everyone who voted. Every Tuesday, I put out a poll in my Facebook group about what topics we should talk about, right? If you feel like there are certain platforms or questions that you have that you're curious about your business that either keep coming up or you've thought about and you're just not sure about, definitely suggest them below or reach out to me separately. I would love to hear what's coming up for your business, what questions you have, so that we can talk about it, right? Let's talk about it, whether it's mindset, whether it's money blocks, whether it's, you know, Pinterest, should I be on TikTok, all of those things, right? Feel free to share in the chat below, or you can always reach out to me. But in that poll on Tuesday, I always put a couple of suggestions and you can always suggest a topic there. And thanks so much to everyone who voted. This week, obviously, the vote came through to talk about Facebook groups. So it's definitely it's something that, right, I feel like I have talked about Facebook groups in exhaustion, but I never get bored of it because I think it is such an important tool. And so clearly there are still some questions out there. So I'd love to hear what your questions on Facebook groups are. Feel free to post them below and I'll try and answer them here. All right, so I know you are a go-getter, right? This video is for go-getters. If you are here, if you are watching this, you are wanting to download some free information, right? And get maybe a little golden nugget, get a little tip that will help move your business forward, right? You are a go-getter, that's why you're here. So I really want to invite you, as you're watching this video, to put on your abundance crown, right? I say it's a crown because we are all goddesses. I'm claiming it, 2026 for women businesses. We are going to rise together, right? That's my motto in life. We rise together, we are doing it, you're coming with me, I'm bringing you. So stick around. But yeah, put on that abundance crown. And what abundance means to me is that all things are possible, right? There's enough for everybody. There's enough market, there's enough money, there's enough clients, there's enough for everyone in the world. All things are possible, but you are the one that has the power to change, right? So with that abundance crown, I really invite you to think about 2 action items that you can take away from this video today. So be thinking about whether it's an aha moment, if it's something you haven't tried before, but mostly an action, right? I would love for you to write down 2 action items, and feel free to share in the chat, or you can always message me for an accountability partner, right? Tell me what 2 action items you took away from today's video that you are going to try in your business. Because the best way to make change is to take action, right? So that is what we are gonna shoot for today. So if you have some 2 action items, I would love to hear what you take away from today's video. All right, that's how we're gonna make a real impact in our business, right? Is by actually taking action. Because I always say, if you can you can download, take all the free material in the world, but often it pulls us in a million different directions, right? A bunch of free resources can be helpful, but it's often very disparate, right? It's very separated and hard to kind of pull it all together into one system that's gonna help you. That's where I feel like it's really helpful to have a coach, right? If you've never had a business coach, I always recommend one. My biggest thing that I've learned in life is that all coaches I've met, all successful coaches, use other coaches, right? I think that's the biggest secret out there, because it really takes someone who has had a different perspective than you, someone outside of your business, giving you kind of that 30,000-foot view to be able to look at your business and say, okay, here's where I would focus, and here are the moves that I would make. We get so deep in the weeds with our own business, right? It's really hard to see. Every one of us, right? Every one of us, we're in our business day in, day out. It is really hard to see, I think, that bigger picture. So just having someone with a new set of eyes, right, can be really helpful. So if that's something you're interested in, again, I start with that free strategy session. If that's something that you think would be helpful, we can look at your social media, we can look at your sexy systems, we can figure out what is going to light you up and what is going to move the needle for you. So feel free to say strategy below if that interests you. All right, if you're new here, my name is Christina. I feel like I've been an entrepreneur forever, right? Tell me who are the babysitters in the crowd, right? I always go back to, lately I've been thinking about my babysitting days back when I was 12 years old. And it was so cute, right? My dad made us little business cards, like it was a whole business. I really treated it like my business. I started my first little Etsy shop back in 2010. So, right, I feel like for the last 15, almost 16 years, right? I've been having my own business and trying to figure out marketing, right? I feel like I've tried all the strategies. I've made all the mistakes so that you don't have to, right? So back in 2010 on Etsy, right? Of course, it was a beautiful place. But I was smacked in the face with, oh my gosh, it's huge, right? The internet is vast. So if you don't have a plan for getting noticed, you're gonna get missed, right? And so I really learned that if you build it, they don't just come, right? I thought I had the perfect pictures, I thought I had the perfect shop, the perfect listings, the perfect titles, all of that, and people still didn't show up, right? You have to have a plan, you have to go to them. So fast forward in 2014, my husband and I opened a little bike shop, coffee shop, and it was the perfect little fun conglomerate of our marriage, right? He liked bikes, I loved coffee. So it was really fun, but we learned in that brick and mortar store, oh my gosh, we learned by fire because we had to. Again, I was hit in the head with that lesson. You cannot just build it and people show up, right? If any of you have felt like you tried to build it, you set up your shop, you set up your social media profiles, you built a beautiful website, and people didn't come, right? Unfortunately, they don't just show up. You have to make a little bit more effort. If they do, then that's amazing, right? If you've had people just knock on your door for business, that's great. But more often than not, we have to go to them. So that was some really important lessons that I had to learn both at Etsy and at the bike shop, right? Is that we had to figure out a way to go where my customers were. So that is really my number one tip. I'm going to share 3 ways to get clients. Very easy, right? It's a very simple system. So the first one is really, you have to go where your audience is. And this kind of gets included in my secret framework that I'm going to talk about, my Facebook framework. I call it the GROW method, right? Grow your group method. So we're going to talk all about that. But the first one is really to get clear on your audience, right? So you have to be clear on who your audience is in order to go where they are. So if you know who your target audience is, you've got to figure out, okay, where do they hang out? What are they looking for? And how can I meet them where they're at, right? How can I go where they are? If they are hanging out at gyms, right? For the bike shop, we had to think about going to gyms. We had to think about going to parking lots. We had to think about going to daycares because we decided that families was really who we were focused on. So think about who your target audience is and where they're hanging out, right? I always say Pinterest is a great place for this, right? If your target audience is women, definitely think about being on Pinterest, right? And see what she is searching for, right? Who is your target audience? What else is she thinking about searching for, right? And most of us moms, right, are multifaceted humans, clearly, right? We have lots of things going on. We're searching for, Valentine's Day decor, right? Halloween stuff. We're planning ahead for next Christmas. We are home decor, meal planning, friendships, parenting, marriages, all of those things, right? We're multifaceted human beings. So I love Pinterest because it really gets you in the mindset of your target audience and can really help you figure out where they are, not just physically, but mentally, right? So where do they hang out, for one? Which platform are they mostly on, right? Newsflash, it's probably Facebook. If you are, right, if you have been in business for a while, right, most people are on Facebook. Definitely other platforms are amazing, and I always say, however you feel about Facebook, right, love it or hate it, it's still the biggest, and it's where most people hang out the most every single day, right? Most people are logging on Facebook every single day. So if you don't have a Facebook plan, definitely you may want to think about one, right, for your business. And if you're not getting leads from Facebook, let's talk, right? Because it's so giant that you should be getting 5 to 10 qualified leads every single day to your business. So if you're not, let's talk. Definitely say strategy below. I would love to talk to you about how to make that happen for your business. So right, there are 3 easy ways to get clients. And again, at the bike shop, we found that Facebook groups was such a valid and amazing thing for our business because it really allowed us to build a community. I always say that if you really want to build movement in your business, you really want to have people going with you, right? You want to build momentum, you want to have movement, you want to have people excited about this is something new and different, we're going there together, right? And Facebook groups is the best way to do that. It is the best way to build community and really capture your audience. So here's why, right? So if you're wondering why you need a Facebook group, if you've thought about having one, it is really this, that your social media profiles are great, right? You've probably noticed some people see them, people are scrolling, people are liking, maybe commenting, right? It is often really hard, I think, to get engagement over on your regular social media profiles, whether that's Instagram, Facebook personal profile, or business, especially a Facebook business page, right? It is, if you haven't noticed, right, it's probably bottom of the barrel in the algorithm hierarchy, right? So if you are wanting to get more engagement, right, that is how you are going to get eyeballs. It is really hard. It is much harder to do that, I think, on a regular profile. Also, you have no control over who's following you, who's friend requesting you. Perhaps, right, if you are following them in your target audience and you hope that they would follow you back, that's one way to really kind of qualify your followers a little bit more. But again, you have no control over who's doing what over on your social media profiles. I call it a post and hope, right? If you feel like you are posting and hoping, just say post and hope below, right? It can be really frustrating because you're kind of just putting your information out there, and we get so, I see this all the time with so many of my clients, we are so heavy focused on content, right? If you feel like if I just have the content, if I just tweak my content, if I make the right video, if I post at the right time, if I'm more consistent, then everything will happen and everything will fall into place, right? Does anybody feel like that? When I hear the word consistent, to me, that feels like more. I've got to do more, right? But if it's not working, if you're posting and hoping it's not working and getting you clients, why on earth would you focus on doing it more, right? If your content is not converting, it is not a question about more content. You need a new strategy, right? Because it is not enough to post and hope and just wait, right? Oh my gosh, waiting can be so hard, right? I am not in the business of waiting to make things happen in my business, right? Waiting until I go viral, waiting until some bros over in Silicon Valley decide to change the algorithm to work better for me, right? No, it's not happening. So I am here to help you build sexy systems that work, right? Because if it's not a sexy system that lights you up and it's not an automatic habit that gets you motivated every single day, you're not going to do it, right? You're not going to do more of it. If it's not working, it's really hard to do more of it. So, so with that, so the 3 easiest ways to get clients, I think, are go where they are. We talked about that. And you really have to define your audience in order to know where they go, right? Know where they are, know where to go. The second one is to warm them up. We all know, notice your own habits, right? If you are in your Facebook feed, if you are in anywhere, right? You are very rarely going to click and buy something right away, unless it is super enticing and it is exactly what you need at this moment, right? And Facebook is really good at that. But more often than not, you need a little bit of warm-up time, right? Most of us in our purchasing power we need to see a few more emails, we forget about it, that sounds good for now, maybe later, right? It takes a little bit of warming up. So you really have to have a way to warm them up. So go where your clients are, and then number 2 is warm them up. So I think the best container for this, again, is the Facebook group, because this is where you are qualifying your audience, right? So we talked about why you really need a Facebook group. It is to qualify your audience. So over on your social media profiles, we said, right, it is really hard to control who's following you and get them to take action. I would never call a follower a lead, right? To me, a lead is someone who takes action, DMs you, clicks on your website, and signs up for something, right? If they click on your website and they're gone, I mean, it's not a hot lead, right? They have just been interested. Maybe they were interested, but you have not had a proper connection, right? You have not captured their information. I would say this too, right? If Facebook shuts down tomorrow, if you've put all your eggs in the Facebook basket or all your eggs in the Instagram basket, if those social media profiles shut down tomorrow, then what, right? Then you don't have your followers, you don't have anything. So you need to be able to capture your audience, and the email list, right? I think is the best way to do this. So you need to be, and that would be a lead. If someone gives you their email, that is a hot lead, right? They've said yes to something, they've wanted your freebie, they have signed up for your newsletter, right? That would be a lead. So you really need a way to capture your audience. And it's much harder, I think, on your social media profiles to just drop a link, right? Hey, sign up for my newsletter. It's way harder, I think, for people to do that. Over in Facebook groups, this is the best system, right? Facebook groups has the 3 entry questions. This is really the key to turning followers into leads, right? Turning likes into leads is getting them into a Facebook group. With these 3 entry questions, you can qualify, are you this person? Here's my freebie, would you like to drop your email? And then the 3rd question, right, is really important about, would you like something further? So that is really the 2nd step in my grow your group method. So we're going to talk about, right, the 3 easy ways to get clients. And then we're going to talk about my 5 secret steps to my Facebook framework. I call it the grow your group method. So GROW, and then the last one is secret, right? So we'll talk about that. But here's the 3 easy ways to get clients. We said, go where your audience is, warm them up. And the 3rd step, follow up. If you can do those 3 things, right, that's really it. But this is where the complication comes in, right, is we've got to figure out how to do all of these things. So yes, go where your audience is. They're probably on Facebook, right? But they're probably in a number of other places. And then how do you really connect with them, right? And then number 2, warm them up. And this is really where that connection comes in, building that community with the Facebook group. I think that's really important, is to capture their information and build a community, right? You want them to get to know you as a person, as a coach, as a service provider, right? You want them to get to know you. I keep hearing all of this talk about, right, of course, AI. AI is ever present in our world these days, and it's only going to continue to be more so. So if you are worried about AI, right? For one, get on board, right? Figure out how to make it work for you. And then two is it's really going to be about the implementation, right? So you can be warming them up, but they need to get to know you personally, right? So it's about how they are going to implement all of this information that they're getting, if they get it for free from AI or from someone else, right? But they need to know how to apply it. And that's where you come in. And they're going to need to get to know you as a person. There's going to be more and more AI generated content. So having you as a person, right? You as a unique perspective, your life experience, all of those things are going to be really more prevalent. So that's where I really think the Facebook group can really help with that warming up piece and connection, right? You want to nurture your audience, get them to know you. And that's really where that personal content is going to come in, right? They're going to get all kinds of AI generated content outside on other profiles everywhere, right? So inside your Facebook group, this is where you really want to have that person-to-person content and contact, right? So that Facebook group, I think, is the best vessel to warm your audience up. You could possibly just use your email list, right? I think that's another important piece to nurture your audience. But again, having that interaction, I think, is going to be much harder. It feels a little bit colder on your emails, right? I think a warmer, nurturing process is going to be building that community in the Facebook group. Going back to the bike shop, right? I always like to mention we built that Facebook group and it was such a success that those guys are still getting together and having bike rides to this day, right? We built this community around people coming in for bikes, people coming in for repairs, and getting together and going on bike rides. And then of course coming back for coffee, right? That was my favorite part. But that community is really the sign that that's the connection people are looking for, right? People are looking for the connection in order to make a purchase, right? Or have the trust, right? Of course, to be able to connect with you and be comfortable enough to buy. So that Facebook group, I think, is definitely going to be the key to nurturing your audience. So back to the 3 steps, right? Is go where your audience is, warm them up with some type of vessel, and then the third is follow up. And the best way to follow up, right, is if they're already in your Facebook group, it's very easy to follow up. They're already in your world, you're probably already having conversations with them, and it makes it way easier to follow up. So those are the 3 easiest ways, I think, to get clients, right? If you can build that into your system, I think that is everything, right? It's a matter of how you're going to do that. So this is where the Facebook and my secret framework comes in. So I have a 5-step secret framework. I call it the Grow Your Group method, GROW, and the last secret one is an S, right? So G, the first step to the framework is get clear on your audience, right? We talked a bit about that already. You can go on Pinterest, figure out what she's looking for, who she is, where she hangs out, what is she searching for, what are her problems, what results can you offer her, where's her headspace, right? Is she already frustrated? And go a little bit deeper, right? Is she just a mom? That's great, you can serve all moms. But is she a mom who is maybe having trouble with her kids, having trouble finding herself again? Is she struggling with finances? Is she struggling to meal plan? All of those things, right? You can always go a little bit deeper on who your target audience is and where she hangs out so that you can go to her. So that's really the first step, is get clear on your audience. So that's the G part. R is the right questions. So number 2 is talking about those qualifying questions in your Facebook group. So I think that is the best step to grow your Facebook group, is having the right questions for your entry questions. You get 3 questions. If it's a private and visible Facebook group, that's the setting you want to have set up. And again, those 3 questions are so important. The first question should really be about how to qualify your audience, right? Are you a mom who's struggling with meal planning? Are you a young entrepreneur who wants, more wellness in your life, or more peace, or more clarity, or, whatever that is, speaks a little bit to the problem that you're going to help them with. And ask them, right? Do you struggle with XYZ, right? Yes or no, or you can have a little checklist. That's my favorite, is to have a checklist. Are you interested in, website design, graphic design, you business strategy, blah, 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 blah. You can ask them a bunch of different ways. Wellness, mindset, meditation, whatever you want to offer, right? Ask them, is this something you're interested in? They can check it off. Number 2 question should really be that email. You want to grow your email list. So some type of freebie, right? Hey, do you want my free 5 tips on, what to pack for a travel vacation in the Caribbean? Or do you want my, 5 easy ways to cut sugar out of your diet, right? I don't know. Something, whatever works for your business. Some enticing, juicy freebie that you can say, hey, do you want this thing? Drop your email. And it's a great way then to, right? You have to follow up and make sure that they get that freebie. You could absolutely, if it's just a yes or no, you could follow up with your sign up, right? I had some people say that they just have a yes or no and then they follow up. But here's the thing, if you have extra steps for people to drop their email, and I get it, if you have an automated system on your website, that's great. You could manually enter their email into that system, right? Because if you want to make it easy. This is the whole point. You've already asked them to join your Facebook group, right? So they've gotten these 3 questions and they may not answer them, right? We all know we're busy. You can still let them in your Facebook group if you think they're in your target audience, and they could be warmed up later, right? That's the whole point. It's the fortune is in the follow-up, I keep hearing, right? So you can follow up later. But ask them for their email. Drop your email below, because then you've got their information right away. You haven't made them do an extra step, right? Make it easy. Make it easy for your audience. They're already committing to joining your Facebook group, and they're already kind of doing you a solid by getting into your world, right? They've already shown interest. By the way, I think joining a Facebook group, puts them into maybe not a warm lead if they don't answer your questions, but just the act of joining your Facebook group is far more of an action than just following your social media profile, right? Or liking a post, right? I think it is a far bigger commitment, but still a fairly low commitment level, right? But to join your Facebook group. So then that 3rd question, the entry question for your Facebook group, should really be, do you want more? And this is where I call it your gateway offer. If it's a free call, if it's a way for you to kind of follow up, do you want more information on my signature program of how to, lose weight in 30 days, if that's what you're offering, or how to get clear for 2026, how to release your money blocks for the new year, right? Whatever it is that you're offering, whatever that gateway, if it's a call, if it's a consultation, whatever that is, do you want this thing? Are you interested in more? If people say yes, oh my gosh, right? They've already shown all of this interest, right? Yes, these are my problems. Here's my email. And yes, I want more information on your thing. Those are warm, hot. Those are not a warm lead. That's a hot lead, right? And that is your list then to follow up. You immediately know just from them coming into your group, now you have a list to follow up. So this is really the secret sauce of how to grow your Facebook group and turn just random followers into actual leads. They've told you something. They've taken action, right? That is far more valuable than someone just liking a post. You don't know what their intentions are for liking a post or commenting, right? They might just like your pretty pictures, your pretty face, right? They might resonate with your material, but they're not quite ready to take action. Yep, I like that. Hopefully I see it later, right? That's usually the action that they're taking when they just like something. So keep that in mind, that getting them into a vessel, and again, the Facebook group, I think is the best vessel to really capture your audience so that you can follow up easier and more intentionally and more genuinely later, right? So that is the 2nd step of my 5-step framework. So the 1st step is to get clear on your audience. 2nd is to ask the right questions for your entry questions. The 3rd one is to use other Facebook groups, right? So of course, many of you are in other Facebook groups. We're all in a lot of Facebook groups. Again, it's a low commitment level to just join a Facebook group, right? And that's why it's so valuable to get your audience into your own Facebook group. So that 3rd step is using other Facebook groups to invite people to your Facebook group. I feel like it is so easy to get distracted as a business owner to be like, oh, well, I've got this freebie. I've got my website. I could send people here. Oh, today I'm going to post my Instagram. Oh, I can, you know what I mean? We can send people a million different places because we have a lot of different avenues for people to get into our world. If I can just focus on one thing, I treat my Facebook group like my sales funnel, right? If I can just get people into my Facebook group, then that triggers the different levers, right? That triggers their level of interest. And it triggers me to see, oh, this person said yes to this. well, that's my priority, right? As opposed to this random person who followed me over on Instagram, right? That is my priority. If they have said yes, they want to talk, I mean, that is your hot lead, right? You better follow up and start that conversation with that person and have these genuine conversations. I think it's far more important to build relationships rather than content, right? I see this all the time with many of my clients when we're starting out, is that they are so heavy focused on content because that's what we've been taught. You must have better content. You must have more content. You need to be more consistent, right? So we are so heavy on content, but if it is not converting, it is not about doing more of that thing, right? You need to be focused on relationships. So I would much rather build into your system, right? And have it be a sexy system that lights you up. If you are a coach, a service provider, more than likely you enjoy interacting with people, right? You really want to have those genuine conversations. So if it is part of your system to interact with actual people every single day, if you had questions coming into your inbox, wouldn't that be much more valuable and exciting than, oh, what am I going to post today and have nobody see it? Right? I feel like that is much more aligned with who you are as a coach and what you want to do for the world, right? So starting those conversations and having those relationships. And that really comes from using other Facebook groups and having those entry questions as in your own Facebook group. So using other Facebook groups to just invite people over to your Facebook group. So if you just have that one focus, okay, every day I wake up, all I have to do is get people into my sales funnel, right? And my sales funnel is my Facebook group. So if you just use that as your one thing every day, okay, I could send people all these different places, but if I just get them into my Facebook group, then that triggers these different levels of their interest, right? And triggers different levers for you to know, okay, I've got their email, I put that into my system. They said yes to this, I got to send them that. They said yes to this, I've got to reach out to them on that, right? That tells you who to focus on and sets your priorities. All right, so back to the secret framework. So GROW. So the fourth step is really about warm DMs. So this is kind of what we've been talking about, right? If they say yes to your freebie, if they say yes to your gateway offer, you want to send them a warm DM, right? I'd say it's a warm DM because it's not a cold DM. They've already shown a level of interest. It is your job to follow up with them. Hey, I saw that you said yes to this thing in my group. Thanks so much for joining. Tell me about where you're at on your health journey, right? Tell me about where you're at on your business. Tell me about where you're at on your finances, right? Whatever that looks like, you want to start that conversation and build that relationship. So it's really the warm DM, right? I think not all DMs are created, right? I often get a lot of pushback on the DMs. Everyone has gotten a spammy DM, and that is why we can build hesitation into sending DMs ourselves, because we are afraid of being salesy, right? Newsflash, if anyone isn't clear on this, nobody wants to be salesy, right? Nobody wants to be sold to all the time. We all have needs. We all need to buy things. We all have services we want to sell. And there's an aligned place for all of that to happen, right? It is just about building connections and getting permission to pitch. It is about having that aligned conversation, building those relationships. Then the buying part is just automatic, right? So definitely a warm DM. So I always say, right, cold DMs, sure, can be scary, right? And a cold DM, again, I would only say is cold if you are not friends with that person, if they have not followed you, if you have zero contact with them and you reach out. I think the best way to reach out is to just invite them to your Facebook group. Again, going back to your one objective of the day, getting them to your Facebook group. I think it is a low commitment level and much lower commitment level than, hey, here's my newsletter, sign up for my newsletter. Or even worse, if you've never talked to someone and you send them a DM and say, buy my thing, or would you be interested in my thing? I think that is far more salesy, right? Than, hey, I saw that you were into this. Let's talk about it, right? That is far more genuine than, here's my thing. Are you interested? That's a cold DM, and that is salesy. And I don't think many of us want to be sold to or want to be that salesy or that pushy, right? You want to warm someone up. Hey, I saw that you were blah, 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 blah. Tell me more, right? Tell me about you, as opposed to, here I am. Do you want to know more about me, right? I think that is, again, I would say social media is really reciprocal. Business is really reciprocal. People are going to feel much better if you are able to reciprocate, you know, likes for likes. If they are commenting or liking, it's always a good strategy to like and comment on their stuff. If they are starting a conversation and asking about, you know, your business, it is reciprocal to ask them about their business, ask them about their health journey, right? Whatever that looks like. What are they eating? You know, just be a genuine human. I think is so, it goes so much further than, hey, are you ready to buy my thing, right? Nobody wants to be sold to, nobody wants to be salesy, and there's an aligned place for you to feel good about your system of serving, right? Selling is really serving. So we need to find that place that feels good to you. So those are all things that I talk about in my coaching program. But getting back to our framework, right, is the GROW. And so this is really the 4 steps to growing your Facebook group. The last step, I always say, is really the hardest. And the last step is, I say, slay engagement, right? So it's the S, grows, GROWS. So slay engagement. This is the hard part, right? If any of you have had trouble engaging, right? Getting people to engage with any of your content, I think is hard. And so inside your Facebook group, this is definitely one of the biggest killers of Facebook groups, is you can be posting inside your Facebook group, and you could have 1,000 members and not one person is seeing your post, right? Very similar to over on your social media profiles. You could have 10,000 followers and nobody is seeing your posts, right? It is, again, about the algorithm. What I think is more exciting about the Facebook group is there are some easier tools to get people seeing your posts again. So we can talk all about some of those tools if you feel like you have a Facebook group that you need to get engaging again. If people are not seeing your posts or not commenting, it is not that they are not interested. It is that they are not seeing your posts, right? So if you feel like you have a Facebook group that just kind of fizzled out, it is that people have not seen your stuff, right? You could be posting all day long. Most people are not seeing your stuff. Unless they are liking or commenting, most people are not seeing your stuff. So it's really that last piece is slaying engagement, right? We really want to get engagement moving in your group. Because here's the trick, right? Is that if you get a bunch of new people coming into your Facebook group and you get really good engagement on all your posts inside your Facebook group, Facebook is going to suggest your group to more people. And that is how you get the algorithm working for you. So this is what is so exciting about Facebook groups, and why I think it is the best use of your time and money and effort, is to get a Facebook group that gets you leads every single day. So I often hear this, right? Okay, Facebook groups, that's great. I have all my social media profiles. I'm so busy. How do I have time for one more thing, right? Is this you? Is that what's jumping in your head as we're talking here? How do I have time for one more thing, right? And here's what I would say. Pick your hard, right? If you are not getting enough leads and you don't have enough clients, it is not about doing more. Especially, it is not about doing more of what's not working. So if you are so busy building content that nobody is seeing, but you don't have time to try a new strategy that might actually get you people commenting and might actually get you people interested in your business, pick your hard, right? To me, it's hard. It's hard to make a bunch of content and be busy and not get any results, as opposed to trying something new that I have a proven method that I see work every single day. I would much rather work on this new thing. Sure, it's a bit of a risk, right? And I'm not sure how it's going to look, and I'm not sure how it's going to go, but it's much more exciting to try something new, even though it's riskier, as opposed to doing what I've always done that doesn't work, right? To me, I think that is the real big difference between go-getters who are excited but don't take action, right? You are a go-getter. I think you are an action taker. I would love to see you make moves in your business today, right? That is really what is going to move the needle, is to be able to get new strategies and implement them, right? It is about the implementation. It is not about more information. Implementation. It is the how. How are you going to make this happen in your business? How are you going to grow your Facebook group? How are you going to make it work for your business, for your particular niche, for your particular industry, right? That is really the move that is the challenge, right? So all of this free material, hopefully it has given you an aha moment. I would love to hear your 2 action items. What did you hear today that really stuck with you, that you're going to try in your business, right? That grows method. Again, get clear on your audience, ask the right questions for your entry questions, use other Facebook groups to invite people to your Facebook group, and then send warm DMs to people, right? Is really figuring out who is your priority, who can you send a warm DM. And a warm DM would be if you've already had interaction with them, right? They're already interested, they already know who you are. It's not just a cold DM. And that last one, S, is slay engagement. You've really got to get people engaged inside your Facebook group, right? And so those are all things that we discuss in my coaching program. I would love to talk to you more. I call it the lead accelerator, right? Because you don't need more followers. You need leads. You need people taking action on your business, showing their level of interest, and getting qualified to come into your world, right? So that you can warm them up and get them interested in all of your services and beautiful offers. So if that's something you're interested in, it's the lead accelerator. You can just say lead accelerator below, or if you want that free strategy session, just say strategy. Because here's the thing, I don't want you to waste years, right? At the bike shop, even at Etsy, I wasted so many years stuck in a posting and hoping cycle, right? I would just, I must need to change me. I must need to change my content, make prettier pictures, right? I'm not saying the right words. I'm not posting at the right times. I'm not doing enough. And more than not, right? It was that people were not seeing my posts and they didn't have a way to really interact, right? Sure, they could comment, but I wasn't really telling them what I needed them to do. I wasn't telling them where to go. I wasn't telling them, right? Giving them a real clear action. The Facebook group is the best way to really get people to take action and to get people warmed up to your system and you. You are your business. You are the unique perspective that they want and need, that you can solve the problem that they have. All right, that is it. I would love to hear from you how you're feeling about Facebook groups. If you have a Facebook group, if you feel like it has been fizzling out slowly, I would love to talk to you about how to reinvigorate that and get more people coming in so that you can get qualified leads that are actually taking action every single day, and then you have an easy list to follow up with every single day. Wouldn't that feel so amazing to be posting content and actually getting people to take action, right? That's always the go-to. The sexy system is if it's something that you're doing every day, oh, I know this gets me leads, and then this gives me a new list to follow up. That to me always feels good. But I would love to talk to you about what could fit into your schedule and what could feel aligned to you, because that's what's going to make the move in your business and be the difference between a year that is successful, a year of doing the same things, or a year of making new moves and making more money. So that's the goal. Awesome. Thanks so much for sticking around. I would love to chat with you more.